Hello and welcome to Data Source. In the last video in this series, I looked at floor function, and you can use floor function to basically bring a number down to the lowest number. It's kind of like rounding down, and this can find application when you want to round down a number instead of rounding it up or just rounding it basically. But yeah, I've been talking, so I'll just run through the ways to round up or round down numbers. So we have these two numbers here. The usual way to round down numbers in the cell is to click on the number. So on Excel, this is on Google Sheets. On Excel, you see something like this in the tabs, but on Google Sheets, you can decrease the decimal place or increase the decimal place. That's what you can do when it's in the cell. You can highlight the entire column, for example, and also do the same, or increase it. So yeah, these are things you can do. Or say you wanted to get it in a different cell, so you need the decimal place numbers for a calculation, and you also need the rounded up numbers for a different calculation. So say you wanted to floor these numbers, you would then use floor equals to on the cell you want it to be, or the column you want it to be, and use floor, which is something I already looked at in the previous video. You select the cell you want to floor, and then how much you want to floor it. So say you usually select it by the decimal place. So this one, I put 0.1, so it's one decimal place. So if I put 0.01, it will be two decimal places, and if I put 0.001, it will be three decimal places. So we expect this to be 3.5 if we are normally rounding it, but here it is 3.4 because it is flooring it, it's taking it down. Another way you can achieve this is in the int function. So I just dragged it down. So it's the same for the other number. For the int function, I use equal to and then int. This, you can see what it says, a round number down to nearest integer. So this basically rounds it to an integer. So you didn't want the decimal places anymore, you just want the integer. So I do that, and that's 1. And then what do you think this should be? 2 or 3? This would be 2. Yeah, because it rounds it down. That's what the int function does. Go back again, so see what it does. It rounds the number down to nearest integer that is less than or equal to it. The value to round down. So yeah, so you get that. So if you wanted not to round it down, you wanted to just round it, then you use the round function. So you equal to round. The round function also has round up or round down. So if you do want to remember these, you can use just round up and round down. So I use round, and the same thing I want to round these numbers. And so for rounding, so I want to show you that you can select the places you want to round it to. If it's 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, and so on. So say we want it to 1 decimal place. I just put 1 here, close the bracket, hit enter. So that's 1 decimal place. So what happens if I put 0 there? It's still 1 decimal place. So, and I can drag this down. So after doing this, I can then convert this to int, for example, if I wanted it as an integer. So I can call this rounded integer, rounded int. Yeah, so many caps. So for this, I'll just put int first. Since I know that int brings the value down to an integer, then I use round. So round would convert it to the decimal place, and I want to convert this number here, and then I select the places 0. I want it like an integer, for example, but because round does not show it as an integer, then it will always be decimal. You always show it as a float. So this then converts it to an integer. So now instead of 2 as an integer, I have 3. So these are ways you can round up numbers. Remember, the first one, you can just use this at the top, and then if you want to floor, you can use the floor function, what I've talked about in the previous video. You can use the int to do the same thing as the floor function, but you're getting integers. And you can use round to round it down, but you get floats or decimal place numbers, and then you can use the int function on the round to get integers. So I hope you found this helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe to Data Source. Thank you.